Well, hello everyone, I'm Adam Papagan. Welcome to another episode of There's a Place, the ASMR talk show, the show that feels good to hear. So this is a show that's all about places, exploration, looking around, seeing what's out there, and what you can learn from just these little day-to-day experiences that you have. So, case in point, exactly today, driving around Sunland, which is a suburb of Los Angeles, about 20 minutes north of downtown. And it's not, it's not Beverly Hills, but it's not Compton either. There's some nice houses there. A lot of businesses from LA you find out in like normal LA will have a location up there because the owner is doing pretty well. They have enough money to buy a house, so they move up to the suburbs and open a location near the house. So I go into a record store or something up there. So I'm up there, I'm driving around. I'm on this residential street, and I see this, I think you guess what you call it, a McMansion, but I see a McMansion, and it's got this enormous, awesome horse statue in front of it, and it's bucking up, and it's got its hooves in the air, and it's really magnificent. I was like, wow, it's a pretty cool statue. And then I look a little bit over to the next house, and they have like a Caesar's Palace style, larger than life statue of Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea, in front of their house. No lawn or anything, it's just kind of a driveway, and Poseidon there. And he's like naked and he's fighting an octopus. Very weird statue. It's huge, 15 feet tall. And it just kind of struck me, why? All right, you've worked hard, you have enough money to buy a house, you want it to be nice. Why are you gonna ugly it up with this weird statue? How do you explain that to people? When you like order food, you put in the notes, it's the house with the big weird statue in front of it. I guess what the lesson is on this one is just try to act tastefully, whether you have a lot of money or no money, because nothing ruins a neighborhood faster than a big, ugly Poseidon statue in front of the house. Well, folks, my guest tonight is a prolific rapper. He has hundreds of songs, thousands of songs. I don't know. We'll find out. He's all over the internet. He's got some other projects going on too, but please welcome DJ Seedless.
What's going on, Adam?
How you doing?
Feels good.
Feels good?
Feels good. I'm warmed up by the lights.
Yeah, it is warm in here.
It's chilly outside.
It is cold.
A little bit.
What kind of heater do you have?
That's a good question. It's a good story. I got this weird little fan sort of heater.
It's a little desktop one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a oscillating function, but it's broken. It doesn't oscillate. But I didn't have one a long time, and at my work, they were just gonna throw this little heater out, and I was like, it was last winter. I was like, man, just gonna take this little heater over here and took it home, and yeah.
Does it help?
It stepped up my cut game, because you're cutting, you're like, doing my flares, right? And your hands get cold, they start like constrict.
So you're a little bit warmer.
Yeah.
But think about maybe investing in a bigger heater.
I don't know.
Get that much warmer.
I'm a minimalist.
Okay.
At least when it comes to creature comforts, I suppose,
You can get by. Let me guess, no air conditioner either?
No, I got one in the studio.
Oh, that's okay. That's a good place to have it.
Got to, because it's got so much computers and monitors and drum machines and racks and keyboards and crazy stuff, It's hot in there.
Probably good incentive in the summer to go to the studio and work. That's where the air conditioning is.
Honestly, it's kind of like, it kind of cancels itself out. So it's like, it's not as hot as it is in the rest of the house, but yeah, the studio is just always kind of a labor of love all seasons.
Every season?
Yeah.
Hot, cold?
Yeah, it seems
Tracks
like we
are
only
always
have
hot in
two
the studio.
seasons now. I mean, you gotta hope so. You know, sometimes, you know, can't be Babe Ruth every day. I guess. You know, I don't know.
What's up with this studio? Did you assemble it yourself, or?
Yeah.
It's a private studio, right? Adam was telling me.
Absolutely. You know, I'm inclined toward the technical sort of side of things as a producer and an artist. So I gotta have my own studio just to feel comfortable. You know, I gotta be able to like wake up in the middle of the night and just go in the studio and just make sure it's still there.
Because you're pretty prolific. Like, you're just always releasing music.
Yeah.
As soon as you can, right?
Well, not necessarily as soon as we can. I mean, it kind of does seem that way, but like we just do stuff all the time. So then sometimes, like I got my homie Big CR over here. We got a track we cut months ago already, and he's like, you know, I gotta be careful if I run into him at the wrong place, because he's like, Seedless, we need to get this track out. But it's true. It's something with Jupe. You guys had Self Jupiter on the show. We got a track with CR and Self Jupiter. So we're gonna drop it, but I'm just gonna wait for the new year to hit. But yeah, we just work a lot. So then we have stuff, and then we're just like disseminating it and trying to figure out how to do that, I guess you could say, you know, because it is challenging. What do you do? What do I do? Oh my God, so many options in life.
Mm-hmm. You gotta focus a little bit.
No, definitely. You're right about that. That's a good observation, you know, especially even as a crew that prides itself on just releasing tons of music. Where is the focus, you know? And I was on another interview like this, sort of, but different. And we definitely got into that whole aspect of it. Like, how do you distinguish yourself in an ocean? You know, so it's got to be something about your music that you try to do that makes you different or makes you stand out, or what's the purpose? Like, I remember my uncle's this very eccentric dude. I love him to death. And he was like, there's only, you know, 2 good reasons to write a book. Either you're disputing what the dude who wrote the last book about that subject said, or you have new information to add on to it, you know? And I dig that, you know? So it's like, yeah, we try to bring something creative and something new to the table when we're creating. And we're creators as creative people, I guess. And just kill that word.
Creativity.
Yeah.
Do you know who Reggie Watts is?
Sounds
He's like a
familiar.
comedian who does like raps and stuff too. But anyway, he was saying that his response to the Trump winning was that everyone needs to go out there and create good art. But I thought a little rebuttal to that, you know, a dispute, was you should just be creating things no matter what else is going on in the world. If you're really driven, it should come from inside. Kind of have like a fire, like something you need to get out. That's what's interesting to me in art.
Well,
it's a
like
message that needs, like, people need this new information.
It's natural to humans to create, first of all. I mean, even biologically, but also externally. And I think that we intake a lot of information. We have eyes, and, you know, we have all these senses that are constantly recording information. So as we are just immersed in this world of senses and all this senses and all this stimulation, that it's natural for us to sort of have the opposite side of it. After you intake all this data, you got to output something, you know.
Kind of make sense of it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think as artists, I try not to overthink it. I mean, we do concept songs, and then sometimes we do our like hip hop. Oh, I'm tough, and braggadocio is definitely a part of hip hop as well, you know. But I think, you know, when you get into any sort of creative process, you know, we're talking about this on the way over here. Fun is fun to watch or experience and be a part of. People want to be part of fun.
Yeah.
People want to be part of a good time. We all have to work hard, and we all have to go through all the negative aspects of life. So when we want to be entertained, we want to have fun. And so channeling the fun and the passion of being creative is essential, I think, into like stimulating the audience, you know, and recording is a challenging medium, as well as being even on television per se. Maybe with the exception of some particular shows that get shot in front of a big, large audience, you know. But when you're performing, you can read the crowd. Rapping. Nobody's in the crowd. They just look like they're looking at their phones, at their watches. Like, you know, I'm gonna just rap louder and harder and more aggressive.
You gotta get their attention.
Do something crazy if I have to get their attention. But if like it's like if I'm here, I'm like, oh no, maybe I'm not going hard enough. And it's like, but you can't know if there's not people there. So when you're in the booth and you're writing a song and you're by yourself and you're in those creative personal moments, you know, it's like you have to, sometimes it's good to have those experiences of performing and interacting with your fans and your audience and draw from that energy to create and reciprocate what the feeling is when people admonish you as an artist. You know, how does that make you feel, and give that back to them in your performance. You know?
So you've been a producer for a while, right? You've been doing different...
Yeah, I mean, pretty serious, I'd say, for about 10 years.
So you've seen all the different computer programs used to produce hip-hop beats.
I could say I probably have seen most of them.
So what was the first one you started on?
Oh gosh, it was back in the 90s. Man, Rebirth.
Wow.
Rebirth.
In the 90s, so you had like a PC with it on it, or?
What did I have? Yeah, I think I did have a Windows machine. Had an old Windows machine, you know, probably like I want to say, like, what did they have at that point? It was after the 86 series. It was a Pentium, like a Pentium 2.
Yeah.
Like a Pentium 2. Yeah. And then I got blessed to link up with some people. Shouts out to my homie Brett Thompson, amazing artist as well. And I got to mess with some Akai gear, some MPCs and some hardware and stuff like that. But that's still, even at that point, it was very out of reach for your sort of aspiring type of artist, you know. I mean, I was like a high school student at that point in time, you know. So it's like, yeah, you're up there, like, what can I download for free? Oh, what can I get? You know, you're on all types of. I was like probably before Google and all that even. Like, I don't even. This is like way back when. So yeah, it was a challenge. But then you had you know, Reasons came out.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
Is that one still around?
It is. A lot of people like it. You know, it has a lot of flexibility to it. You know, I mean, nowadays I feel like Ableton is kind of like the ship. You know, you see a lot of people, cats like Thavius Beck, if you're familiar with him. He's kind of he does like Ableton, like workshops and stuff for like Guitar Center, I think, and stuff like that. So, you know, he's a talented cat, been in the hip hop scene for a long time, and still a producer, still relevant, and definitely out there really using hardware, but also just on that Ableton. And Ableton's cool. It's kind of like almost like a Linux of beat making programs. It's very empty. When you get the program and you open it up, there's really no sounds. It's like a bunch of empty boxes, and then you really go download and find the things that you want to put in the boxes. So it's kind of cool. Like, reminds me of the MPC 2000. Has no sounds in it. When you turn it on, every time it's totally empty. So it's like you get out your blank canvas. What do I want to paint today? Whereas, you know, you have some stuff like ASRXs and SP12 turbos and some of the Roland machines, SP404s, a lot of that stuff has drum sounds in it already. So like, you turn it on and the drum sounds are already there, and even as creative as we are, sometimes we lean on those sounds that are already in there a little too much. So I kind of like the machines that are empty, and that whole idea of starting with a blank canvas a lot of times. Although, truth be told, I do use a lot of ASRX stuff, and I do like stock sounds, you know what I mean?
Hey, when you're releasing as many songs as you do, suppose you don't have time to find, you know, different...
Well, I mean, for me, I'll be honest with you, like, in order to do what I do, it's not me. I mean, it's a huge team. We have Hard Work Records, Hard Work Microphone Collective. You know, that's a big part of what I do and rep with is hard work. So that's a lot of producers. We have Alpaca out in Florida, my man Omni here in LA, you know, Tensor in Pennsylvania, my man Maru in Japan. We've also been working with a lot of satellite producers from Russia, Austria, France, England, South Africa, just really trying to get production. And I think, you know, a place like LA is great because there's so many talented artists here. So it gives me a chance as a producer to marry beat makers with MCs and rappers. And, you know, especially now with the internet and SoundCloud being what it is, it's my access and being able to just communicate with so many different people is just like, it's never ending. Like I have so many beats right now. I don't have enough time to even like record them all really. Like it's just a constant struggle to get in the studio as often as possible. And, you know, I mean, it really forces me also, because I also rap, to have to rap more because my time is so limited that a lot of times I can't get other MCs in the studio. So it's like, I'm finding myself like, I gotta write a rhyme right now because the booth is empty. Nobody's in there recording. I gotta write a rhyme. I'm sitting on too many beats. So, you know, that kind of drove me to start doing more stuff, and I started performing more and started getting a lot of response from that, and really went from even being behind the scenes a lot in the crew to being really recording and performing a lot, which was kind of a crazy transition for me, really. Like, I mean, I was very Mad Lib, very like back behind the scenes.
Because most,
you know,
it's usually like kind of words and music kind of thing, right? The producer brings the music and then the MC brings the words, and it's very collaborative.
You have that element, and even beyond that, I mean, especially in hip hop, what it is and the potential for what it is. Like, I found myself a lot of times, like I said, not even making the beats always. Like, I get a lot of times I hear beats and I'm just like, this is dope. I need to get somebody on this. Nobody even knows who this guy is. Like, he needs to be rapping with he needs someone dope rapping on this beat. I need to make this happen. And that's my bread and butter, you know? Like, you know, it's kind of crazy, but it's like in life, you know, it's like you do for other people and good things happen to you. And that's kind of like the story of our type of situation, where it's like, I just always really try to support artists, period, like, and not always put myself necessarily like, oh, I'm gonna take every beat and I gotta be first on every song and all that type of stuff. Like, a lot of people feel like, you know, once you take ownership of something, you have to really be this alpha dominant sort of character. And I feel like a lot of times I get a lot more reciprocation and energy back being more of a supportive person, you know? I mean, which you could probably relate to as a host. You bring many different people on your show and talk to them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know?
When you, I read like a book about this, you know, who knows what's true these days, but
truth is relative.
What this book said was that when you team up with somebody in a collaboration, instead of being 100% more efficient, it's like 110% more efficient. You get a little extra boost out of the collaboration because both parties working together creates something that's a little bit larger. You know, it's like the old saying, the sum is greater than the whole of its parts, whatever that's, you know what I'm talking about.
That's like multiplication, not addition.
Yeah, it's all the same.
I feel that. I mean, collaboration, hip hop in itself, which I'm sort of part of, I guess somehow. Sounds weird even saying hip hop. Sometimes you be like, hip hop, hip hop. I don't even know if I can say hip hop again. Like, damn, starting to feel fake. But like, yeah, hip hop is very connected to jazz. And I've come very much from a beat poet sort of perspective in hip hop. Like, I love, you know, On the Road, Jack Kerouac, you know, and that story of traveling around the country mainly and meeting, you know, he would go down the street and he would go to the next bar and there would be some amazing horn player, and every place you went there was somebody. And it's like, you know, I've been around for a little while, so I kind of remember that era, and I lived on the East Coast for a long time, so I connected to that idea of, you know, just going around and collaborating with people. You run into someone in the corner, you freestyle with them. You might never meet them again. You might not even know their name. It's just like a moment in creativity that you just have spontaneously. So I definitely thrive off that, and I think hip hop thrives off of that. And that's one of the things that really, I think, makes hip hop a sustainable art form, is that it fulfills a real need creatively for people in the community, like especially like young people who need a creative outlet when they're in a period of their life where they're developing their, I don't know, developing their personalities and developing who they're really gonna be. I guess, you know, as an adolescent, you know, you see a lot of transition and you see a lot of great creativity come out of adolescence and a lot of great young artists, you know, and I think a lot of the essence of art is in young people, you know, definitely. So that's something also that as a more experienced artist and someone who's been around for a long time, you have to recognize that and you have to support that creativity. So that's one thing that I'm really, really big on, and I always have a focus on having artists on my label and on my crew and whatnot that are, you know, young cats that are just, they're, you know, learning themselves, but at the same time their perspective on what it is that I've been doing for over half my life is fresh and helps breathe life into my journey and allow me to also keep searching for that new fun and that new smile and that new sound and something that just makes me feel like, oh yeah, this is why I do that. Oh, that's why I don't get enough sleep and I'm always tired and I'm always like low on gas because I gotta go to all these shows and all that type of stuff, I guess, you know.
Is it pretty easy to initiate a collaboration?
Well, I mean,
with an MC or another producer or something?
Depends like how savvy you are, I suppose. You know, I would say yes, but at the same time, I know there's people who probably struggle with it, and I don't want to like belittle their struggle, because if you're not tapped into the right sort of vein, I mean, even myself, I will say my journey with hip hop per se is a good example of this, kind of like a parallel example, that it took me a long time to learn about the underground. Like I was really caught up even as a DJ, because I primarily DJed for the first maybe 10 years I was really involved with hip hop, that I was stuck playing a lot of mainstream records and stuff, and I just didn't know where to find underground records, and I didn't know who the underground artists were, and it just like, until, you know, I met that right person, shout out to Conde, Privilege, Billy Woods and all that, you know, and he put me on to a lot of cats in New York that were doing underground music, and I was able to kind of follow that breadcrumb trail and learn about where I was living at the time in Philly, learn about more underground artists there, eventually find people that were willing to work with me. I really wasn't internet savvy. Like, I mean, I guess I just come from that era of still being personable. Mm-hmm. So like, the easiest way to collab is obviously like go on SoundCloud, find somebody you like, send them a beat. For me, I wasn't really thinking like that. I was still like, okay, I gotta go to the open mic, and I gotta find the dopest rapper, and you know, still meeting people kind of more in the old school traditional way. But yeah, I mean, definitely SoundCloud is there for everybody. You know, anybody that takes that for granted now, I mean, I believe SoundCloud now, they even, you can get a Grammy nomination if you have enough sort of plays and clout and love on SoundCloud. So, I mean, SoundCloud is as viable as MTV or any radio station at this point, you know, and it's definitely been a great resource for me personally to meet artists, work with artists, listen to music, get inspired, play my music, and find people in all over. I mean, I have that little account where you can see everybody that listens to your music. So, I mean, it's like hundreds of countries people have played my music. So I just sit back sometimes, I'm just like smoking a joint, and I'm just like, man, somebody in, God, I don't even know where this country could be listening to my music right now. And, you know, I think that's a big part of the reason why I do music. I mean, of course, I think we all want to make money and be successful and be able to pursue our creative goals to like the limit of their extreme even, you know. But also, when you've been pursuing creativity for a long time, you know, you get a lot of satisfaction from even one fan, one person being involved and interested in what you're doing can become like a powerful experience even, you know.
I saw a video you did called Johnny Demonic, I believe.
Yeah.
And you're wearing corpse paint.
Yes, sir.
Do you know that was the name of that?
Johnny
That
Demonic.
white,
Yeah, corpse
that
paint.
white kind of paint.
Yeah.
It's called corpse paint.
Yeah.
That's the official name. I didn't know that until kind of recently, so just
Okay.
anybody.
I didn't know it until I was getting painted. was in another studio down the street from here where we did the time lapse part of the video, and they were putting the makeup on, and my buddy whose studio was, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're in corpse paint," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in corpse paint." Yeah.
You just kind of played it cool. Like
I tried to.
You know all about corpse paint this whole time.
Yeah.
So was it your idea to put on the face paint?
Yeah.
Sounds like you're kind of talked into it, maybe.
No, it was my idea. I produced the video. I mean, I had my homie help direct it. Muds, shout out to Muds One. He's super talented director also, and he directed the video. Like I said, he also edited it. But it was my idea. I mean, I felt like in that song, I like really started to adopt a persona that was above and different from even DJ Seedless, who's like Johnny Demonic. The persona of Johnny Demonic is almost like
rappers are always doing this. They'll get their persona and they'll get their alter ego, and then they'll get.
It's not just rappers. I mean, Ozzy.
It's a lot of. It's a thing rappers do.
I think it comes like it had like an Ozzy influence. Like Ozzy kind of always had that character to me. Kiss.
But they're just the one character.
No, Ozzy, I feel like he had other characters. He had the Wizard.
That was kind of the
Iron Man. I feel like his different songs were about characters, and he's
okay,
subtly kind of embodied. But I feel you. I mean, he was still Ozzy. He didn't necessarily dress up or anything like
Chris
that.
Gaines. Do you remember when Garth Brooks became Chris Gaines?
No, but that's pretty funny.
He became, and there was like a fake behind the music. I'm just saying, you got to be careful.
That was good. No,
how many personas?
I can't have enough personas. I mean, I've had so many names as a rapper, as an MC, as a DJ, as a producer. I mean, I've gone through a lot of names.
What were some of those names? Discarded ones.
Well, I'll go with just a couple. Like, I had Wujo Sun.
Wujo Sun.
That was like a name for me that came from some like Norse mythology, because when I lived in Philly, I rapped with a lot of cats that were kind of like 5%ers or like a lot of Muslim MCs. And in that aspect of the culture, they have what's called knowledge of self. And knowledge of self is like, you know, you have to know who you are, where you come from, where your roots are. And that was something, I guess, like, you know, African people who were enslaved, brought to America, they were really torn from their roots. So as intelligent people, educated people as they were, you know, as much as society doesn't want to admit that, you know, you had Moorish culture, Moorish temples, and things of this nature. Even what's it called, the Black Star Line. I'm drawing a blank on this right now, but they had a lot of very educated people, even in the 20s and the 30s, and they really started creating this resurgence of African American people in America searching for their knowledge and searching for their history, and knowing that they weren't just slaves as people, that these were rich people with rich histories and amazing culture and many contributions to modern technology and society, and things that they were overlooked and stolen from them. So this became something that in hip hop people embodied this struggle to be credited and to be given justification and to be given accommodation for the things that they created. And part of that was knowledge of self, knowing who you are and what you've contributed to culture. So even as a European American myself, you know, I gotta be like, who am I? I'm not white. Like, where's the country of white? Where's Whitelandia? You know, like, I'm European. Like, my people come from Europe. That's a country. Oh, there's people over there. And even before Christianity had really destroyed a lot of the knowledge of Europe, those people had connections with nature and connections with other aspects of paganism and many other spiritual practices and all types of beliefs and knowledge and things that really embody what it means, I think, to be a European person and somebody in that culture. And kind of part of what you learn, I guess, with that knowledge of self is that when you lose knowledge of self, that's when you're able to be taken advantage of. That's when you start believing commercialism and you believe all the lies and television and what school told you, because you don't know who you are, you don't know your history. So you can be belittled and controlled, and your knowledge can be minimalized. But when you know where you come from and your roots and where your ancestors came from, it gives you power and empowerment to take your destiny of your own life into your hands and create a future for yourself that doesn't necessarily completely subsist of just going to McDonald's and having a corporate job and realizing that we have a contribution to make to the world that's bigger than just passing the buck of corporatism and lackeyism and, you know, lopism and isms.
Gotta get back to the Vikings.
Dude, one of my favorite shows on TV, Vikings. Oh my God. So
There's a show about Vikings?
History Channel, Vikings.
Oh,
yeah. I watch it. So good. Ragnar's my dude. What's up? Loki, you know? What's up?
Loki, yeah, he's a big Nordic guy.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vikings is a great show though, I mean.
Yeah, they're cool, the Vikings.
Well, they were fucked up. They used to just like really torture people and do crazy fucked up shit,
but they reached North America before.
Ah man, they were, I give them, they were bold. They were bold. They had bravery. They were just tenacious people that lived in a harsh inclement area that didn't want to inspire life at all, and they lived there, you know, and they made it work. And
it seems like they could have conquered like a nicer, these great, you know, mariners and these powerful warriors. They should have just conquered, you know, like Hawaii or, you know.
You know, it's interesting in the show, they talk about it too. When they would start conquering South, they would really want to capture the enemy's weapons because they couldn't make metal that was hard as the people who were further south. And I don't know if that's because they just were more primitive, or maybe the soil and the ores they were mining weren't as good. I really don't know. But I know that they definitely had inferior weapons, and their weapons were just not as good, you know, like the Romans and even the, you know, the people from, I don't know, like England area and stuff like that. They had better weapons and they had armor and stuff. Vikings, they were, you know, they were, you know, going to battle naked and do dumb shit like that. They were fucking crazy.
The beard.
Beards,
Viking beard, that's my favorite.
Tattoos, I love it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Food. I used to write graph in not my first name, but my favorite graph name I ever wrote was Futhark, which is another Viking name, and it was one of the ways that I embodied my culture and my heritage into hip hop as a graffiti artist, you know, and that's even what Wujo's son, like I said, Wujo is the rune. It looks like P, you know, means harmony, so it also embodies the elements of music and creativity and working together, collaboration, all these things. So I felt like I learned a lot from that, you know, and like I said, that was something that I never would have known about myself or my life if it hadn't been for being involved with hip hop. As like tangential as that kind of is to hip hop, you know, it's empowering, you know.
Do you like other genres of music as much as you like hip hop? As much?
Music, absolutely. Music is so powerful in so many forms. I mean, of course, rock music. I grew up with a lot of rock music in my family. My mom was in a rock band.
Your mom was in a band?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. So I grew up in the studio, you know.
She was in a band while you were alive?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So.
What kind of band?
Like, kind of like a psychedelic type of rock band. I would describe them as. A little maybe like, let's see, what kind of like 90s band can I compare them to? I don't know. Gosh, I'm thinking of stuff, but it's just, I don't know, maybe...
Mom in a psychedelic rock band, I think paints a good picture already.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, I'm thinking of things, but I just, man.
They're pretty good though?
She was very passionate about her thing. She had it, you know, at the same time, being in a band and being creative, it's just, I mean, I gotta say, I learned a lot. Like, I wouldn't be half as successful as I am with what I do if it wasn't for watching all her mistakes, you know. So, like, I definitely seen her go through a lot of hard times with her art, you know. And she also had a lot of triumphs as well, you know. She had her moments on stage and doing her thing, and it's kind of weird. I don't know, being the child of someone who's creative. Like, it makes me think, like, damn, if I had kids, I don't have kids, so I'm pretty chill. But if I had kids, it'd be like, damn, like, I don't know if I could do all the stuff I do if I had kids. I mean, it's something I think about, you know, because, you know.
How to balance all that? Well,
yeah, man, you know, you want to have fun with the ladies and go out there and do all that type of stuff, and it's like, man, you know, every day you gotta like balance it in one hand, because I have a lot invested in my music and my creativity. So, you know, if I was to have kids or something like that and my life was to have a radical shift, that could massively affect the investments that I've made in doing music. So it's something that I have to be really aware of, you know. And I have a lot of artists that I work with that have kids, and you know, they're some of the most committed and dedicated people in the music world. But at the same time, the family always has to come first, you know, and that's tough, you know, because as an artist, you're passionate. You want to just sink your teeth into whatever you can get, you know. Music, I love music though. Jazz, I love jazz, classical music. I love classical music. I've sampled. I mean, that's the thing about hip hop. It's like I sample a lot. I'm a DJ and a producer. So
with hip hop, you get a little bit of all the genres.
Oh man, I get everything. I mean, I get everything. I go to the record store, and there's no part of the record store that I don't want to go play in. You know, I want to go to comedy records and world music and African music and South American flutes and just.
What's your favorite record store to go to? For stuff, to find stuff to work with.
Ooh, the Record Recycler on Crenshaw in, where is that? It's in like southwest LA, South LA. RecordRecycler.com.
Record Recycler. I don't know that one.
Man, I'm gonna hate myself for ever saying this to you guys, but no, that's the spot. Like, that dude is so legit. He knows so much about records. It's a small shop. There's not a lot of people in there, so you could talk to him about anything you're looking for or about music. And he has just, man, he just knows his stuff. He won't buy whack records, so there's just not a lot of bad records in the shop. And he's not super greedy or anything. So like, he has good prices on all his records. Like, I mean, I like going to Amoebas and stuff like that, but I mean, you're gonna pay top dollar. So really, like, if I'm going to Amoebas, I'm really only buying new records. If I go to Amoebas, I'm going there like, oh, Cool Keith came out with a new record. I'm gonna go to Amoebas and cop that, you know? Friggin' Lewis Parker's got a new record out. I gotta go to Amoeba and see if they got this record, you know? I'll go check that out. You know, down at Record Recycler, he doesn't have any new records. His all old records, so when I'm digging for samples and stuff like that, I mean, I'm going out there trying to find like weird stuff.
Yeah, that's the best stuff.
Got to, because
nobody else wants it, so you can kind of score.
I mean, I think Madlib, he was a dude that kind of pioneered shit like that. Like, I'd say before Madlib, people were very intimidated to sample weird stuff. I mean, I could look back I used to have a crew. One of my first hip hop crews was called the Atomic Playboys, and it was me and my buddy Neil Henderson, Big Neil. He taught me a lot about drum machines and stuff, and yeah, we would just sample movies. We were really into sampling VHSs because we didn't have a record player at the time, so we just had all these VHSs, and we were sampling VHSs and just getting the weirdest stuff, and we were making music that was just so, I don't want to say terrible, but it was kind of just like, what the heck are we doing? Like, this doesn't even make sense. But like, now that I've been so much further on this journey, like 20 years later or whatever, you know, it's like, it totally makes sense. That's exactly what I was doing, is planting the seeds for trying to be creative and do something different, and also work with what I had and these type of things.
So over the course of this interview, you've name dropped a lot of different MCs. Name drop has a bad connotation. I think it's a good thing. Whatever, that's fine.
Got to, man. Got so much love.
Of all these guys you've mentioned, how many of them do you know their real names, and how many do you only know them by their stage name?
Man, that's a good one. I'll say probably, sadly, I know the majority of their real names.
Sadly, you know their real name?
I don't know. It definitely it dispels the mythology of it. I've become kind of at that point where I'm hesitant to want to even meet too many more people that I really like as artists, because I've deconstructed a lot of my own world, and it's weird. I mean, it's weird when you start meeting people that you look up to, or people that you sort of give a supernatural place to in creativity. A big one was my good friend and a big supporter of Hard Work Records and the Cola crew, Cola Commander, because I'm from Cola crew, gotta shout out Cola, Kazar, you know, and man, he is such a persona as a rapper and as an MC, and his creativity is so amazing that when you get to know him, it definitely is like, oh, I see where you recorded that at. And you had like, when you didn't know him, you just like imagined all this crazy stuff because the creativity of his art was so amazing, you know? So it kind of like, it loses the specialness to it. It's like, I don't want to meet my heroes and stuff. I want them to still be just on Mount Olympus or whatever.
Because they'll always be there if you leave them on the mountain.
Exactly, you know? And
versus, you know, like, I mean, I agree, like, you know, I like the Beatles a lot, but I wouldn't want to like get tacos with Paul McCartney. I'd like have like a nice dinner with him, but just like
I know
sitting across him and like bright lights, you know, and just like it's late at night. Like, what are we doing?
Absolutely, man. I mean, that's what I love about entertainment, and I love about movies and television and music. And what made me want to get involved with creating these things was the mystery, the mystique. That's what I think, you know, somebody I always looked up to was Alfred Hitchcock. I feel like he was that master of suspense, that master of creating just something that really wasn't there. Really.
Atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's kind of this intangible thing.
Oh, it's so great. And I think, you know, I love that about art and music. And I'm blessed to work with the people I've worked with. I mean, I've been blessed beyond blessed. I mean, you had Sunspot Jones on here. Sunspot was one of the first MCs to bless me with the track. Man, probably like 6 or 7 years ago. I was in LA just visiting while I was still living in the East Coast. Me and a buddy went over to his house to just hang out and just hang out with him and just meet him, really. And we took some beats over there and we started freestyling. And just in the course of freestyling, he was like, man, you're crazy. Like, can you write a verse, though? Let's see what you got on the verse. I'll do a track with you right now. And it was just like, oh, shit. I gotta do a track right now with Sunspot Jones with Legends. And I was just like half drunk as fuck. It's like, oh my God. So I did it, you know, put it together. He was really cool. He gave us a copy of the session file and everything, let us, you know, take it home and polish our verses up so we didn't sound all whack next to him and stuff. And dude, you know, it was just like such a great experience, you know. I gotta say that's like one of my greatest hip hop experiences probably. And Sunspot just being one of the most down to earth hip hop artists, you know. And what's cool about him with BFAP was that was part of BFAP's character, though, was to be, he was every man, or whatever you want to call it, like the quintessential regular guy of hip hop. You know, there was no big bells and whistles about that. You know, he always was rapping about everyday life. And he was somebody that, when you met him, it increased the myth because he was his own character. And you know, that in itself is kind of crazy because as hip hop artists, a lot of times we have to take off the mask and go to work and take care of our families and do a lot of real life stuff. And you know, there can be a point, I mean, for me, for sure, there was a point where I didn't know who I was. I was so DJ Seedless every day that I didn't even know who I was almost. You know, you forget who you are. It's like and I even say that, I joke around in my work about that, and sometimes it's kind of true. Like, I'm almost DJ Seedless, really, and my life that I grew up as, or my government name, is like the alias I put on to like take care of other things I need to do so I can
That's
exist
become
in the
your
creative
persona.
world. I mean, it feels like that sometimes.
Switched.
I mean, you know, and it's, as I wonder, you know, and I don't know if that's healthy or unhealthy or what that even means, you know. I mean,
I'm sure it's fine.
No, it was interesting because, you know, it's like when you join a gang or something, you get a gang name, and it's like even being part of society, you know, it's like society's kind of messed up. So if you can have an identity that exists outside of the government-run society, it gives you like a feeling of freedom. Like, yeah, maybe I'm such and such Mr. Jones during the day, but they can't get me. At night I'm out here, I'm being free, you know?
And that's what this show is all about. So DJ Seedless, one final question for you. Your name that you did settle on, finally, DJ Seedless. What is Seedless? Is it a grape, a watermelon? Where did that inspiration come from?
Okay, so I'll tell y'all the story. Try to keep it semi-brief. So how it worked was, I had a whole bunch of weed. and I was slanging this shit, you know, and I was running these crazy missions. Wasn't even thinking about it, you know, just trying to survive at that point in my life. And I got to my homie's pad, and I'm like just breaking out all this weed, like, oh shit, yo, I got this weed for you, dog. And he's like looking through this weed. He's like, oh no, how much I can pay for this? Oh no, is there any? And he's looking for seeds, because he's looking for seeds. Mm-hmm. This is an outdoor crop, you know. And he's like, this is my boy Hags One. Shout out to Hags One, CBX, you know, old school cruise, Oregon shit. And he couldn't find no seeds. And he's like, man, this weed is seedless. I'm gonna call you Seedless. And I was like, well, okay.
The light bulb went off.
Well, I didn't really go for it, because for me, especially as someone who's involved with selling marijuana at that point in my life, the last thing you want to be known as is Seedless. It's like, why don't you just burn me? Why don't you just give the cop? Why don't you just call the cops on me right now? You know, so it was kind of like, I tried to play it down. I tried to change
DJ law-abiding.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it just didn't work. Seedless just caught on. Everyone just kept calling me. And finally, I was just like, I guess I'm DJ Seedless.
DJ Seedless. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Check out DJ Seedless on SoundCloud. The Atomic Playboys.
Oh man,
that
old
sounds
school
cool.
stuff. Hard Work Records. You know, Cola Crew, Shouts Out, Project Blow, Hardcore Street Hop Division, Missile CR. Say, you know, I'm everywhere, all over the place. I got Juice Los Angeles happening every Saturday at MacArthur Park. I do workshops for free from 12 to 4 p.m. If you want to make beats, freestyle, rap with us, cypher with us, you know, come down and hang out. We're at MacArthur Park every Saturday, so it's a good time. There's dancing, DJs, graffiti, everything.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, this is Adam Papagan reminding you that there's a place you can go, and it's your mind. Good night.